everybody. This is Catherine Williams, your local Santa Clarita Realtor, and I'm here today with Robert Ostergard of Nexa Mortgage. How are you doing, Robert?
Fabulous, Kathy. It's nice to see you again.
Oh, thank you. So we're doing a second video because there is so much to understand about mortgages. In our last video, we talked about refinancing, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about when you are a buyer. There's so much to know. So Robert, when a person wants to buy a home, can you tell us what steps they need to take?
Great question, Kathy. As you very well know, right now we're in a hyper vigilant atmosphere of just people paying crazy amounts of money for properties. And with that happening, it's imperative that the person that's looking to buy be very well prepared. And this is what I mean by very well prepared, is that the person is, if you will, pre-approved with their mortgage application. And what that means is that I have received, reviewed, if you will, their income, credit, and asset documentation. And then I've taken that information and if you will, I've also, if you'll input it into the systems for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and I've gotten an underwriter approval for their mortgage. So that when you take that letter that I can prepare for you, that you could give it to the listing agent with confidence that your buyers are pre-approved. Mm-hmm. Now, if we have time, what I can also do is actually have an underwriter review all the income, assets, and credit and get a different level of pre-approval from the underwriter. And that would, if you'll, give you even more confidence that once you present that offer and have an accepted offer, that we could close very, very quickly. Because at that point, I literally only need 3 pieces of information: escrow instructions, preliminary title report, and an appraisal if needed. So I could actually close a loan in under 20 days if we have a to be determined pre-approval with an underwriter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like you take really good care of your customers and get on that quickly.
That's our aim. Our aim is to, if you'll be in contact with the customers at least once a week. I do my phone calls on Tuesdays to the borrower, the buyers, as well as to the listing agent, as well as the selling agent, as well as to escrow, so that there's no surprises. And if needed, we'll make a second call or a third call if needed throughout the week. But every week on Tuesdays, I make phone calls to those aforementioned people.
I know in today's market, you've got both COVID and tons of buyers looking for not very many houses. And sellers are pretty much universally asking for that pre-approval just to be able to take a buyer to go look at a house. So getting started with the pre-approval is really the first step of going shopping for a house.
Exactly. So when I talk to a new client, I will ask them for, when they're ready, ask them for if some needed documentation. That documentation is going to be assets, to make sure that they have enough money for the down payment and closing cost. Ask to pull a credit report to make sure that they have a credit score that is within the guidelines. And third, income, W-2s, tax returns, pay stubs, whatever required by the automated underwriting system for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So once I receive that information, I will then look at it and calculate if their proper income, make sure that they have a good credit score and that they have enough money for the down payment and the closing cost. And once I have that all inputted, I would then run the automated system for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to get that pre-approval.
Mm-hmm. How much money does somebody have to put down for their down payment?
The ideal situation is 20% down, so that they don't have mortgage insurance. There are some programs where even if they don't have 20% down, they can build, if you will, the mortgage insurance into the interest rate, meaning that the interest rate would be higher, but then they would not have a separate line item for mortgage insurance. But there are programs where people could put 0% down also. If the person is a veteran, they could put 0% down. There are also some special first-time homebuyer programs with 3% down also.
Mhm.
So a lot depends upon the individual situation, but the ideal situation is 20% down. And especially in this very competitive marketplace, I know that a lot of listing agents and or sellers are not as keen on accepting an offer where the person is putting less than 20% down.
Mm. That's a really good thing to keep in mind, because people want to be shopping for a house they can actually afford and not waste their time looking at something that is not going to come to fruition.
Correct. And for that reason, I always collect, the information up front so that I can then give them, the proper expectation of how much they can qualify for. Now, there are certain instances where a person can qualify for a payment a lot higher than they feel comfortable making. I've had that happen to me on more than one occasion, where also the person has budgeted X number of dollars per month for a housing payment, even though they could qualify under the guidelines for something a lot more expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's really important to remember not to stretch your final dollar into the mortgage, because pretty soon you will have repairs. It's a guarantee, and you need to have a little bit of a slush fund for those types of rainy days.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can you explain differences in pricing options?
Mhm. So there's three main types of pricing options. The most common one is where the person says, Robert, I don't want to pay any points to get this mortgage. And then they pay all the closing costs. Another option would be to say, Robert, you know what? I don't know how long I'm going to live in this property. It might be less than 5 years. So then I'll look at lower cost options, meaning that they would take a higher interest rate, but then they would be able to get a credit for their closing cost. And that credit could actually add up to thousands of dollars.
Mm.
Also, there might be somebody that says, hey, I'm so confident I'm going to live in this house for the next 30 years. And because the interest rates are so low right now, I'm willing to buy down the interest rate to an incredibly low number.
Mm-hmm.
So when I talk to a client, I'll review those different options with them to see what best fits their lifestyle and their needs at the time.
Mm-hmm. Wow, it sounds like you are a real wealth of knowledge and that you really care about your customers.
I've been doing this for over 20 years. I have personally purchased and or sold millions of dollars of real estate. And having grown up in a construction family, one of the things that we used to do as a family, so I'm very familiar with if you will, buying, selling, and determining if a deal is something that we would like to hold or sell.
Yeah. Wow, you really bring a wealth of background and knowledge to this. So I was wondering, if someone wants to work with you, how can they get a hold of you?
They could call me at 661-714-1162. That's my direct number. Or they can email me at rostergard@nexamortgage.com. Ostergard is spelled Ostergard, and Nexa is NEXA.
Mm-hmm. Great. Do you have any offers you want to give to our Park Bench listeners?
I'm so glad that you asked me that. Yes, I would love to, if you'll pay for their appraisal for them.
And how much would an appraisal cost?
Depending upon the size and or the value of the home, I would say on average, it's about $550, but it could go upwards of right around $1,000.
Yeah, wow, that is such a generous offer. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right. Well, I want to remind everybody you've been listening to Catherine Williams, your local Santa Clarita realtor, and we've been talking with Robert Ostergard of Nexa Mortgage. And if you mention that you heard about Robert on the Park Bench website, don't forget to remind him about his very generous offer of taking care of your appraisal. So thank you so much, Robert. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you today.
Likewise, thank you so much for having me again.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.